Let's sit in a comfortable meditation posture and close the eyes and put our attention on the silent witness. Connect with the silence that is always there deep in the mind. From that level of deep inner silence, we become the silent witness. And listen to the words of the Yoga Vasishta. Book 4, Chapter 23. We're continuing with verse 47. The wise man reigns like a monarch, free from all fears and doubts, devoid of all cares and curiosity, and with a mind free from false fantasies. The soul that is immeasurable in itself is situated in the Supreme Soul. Just like the boundless milky ocean is contained in the body of the one universal ocean. Those who are sober in their minds tranquil in their spirits, laugh to scorn the vile beasts of sensuality as madmen, as are those who have debased themselves to the state of mean reptile by the meanness of their sensual appetites. The sensualist, eager to gratify his senses, is as much ridiculed by the wise man who takes the women deserted by another, is derided by his tribe. The unwise man becomes wise by renouncing all the pleasures of his body and subduing the emotions of his mind by his reason. Just like a rider subdues an uncontrollable elephant by the goad in his hand. He whose mind is bent on the enjoyment of bodily pleasures should first of all check that inclination. Just like they pull poisonous plants from the ground. A governed mind, once let loose, returns to its former habits like a spoiled boy, like a tree withered in summer heat, grows luxuriant at a slight rainfall. That which is full out of its time does not become fuller in its season, like the river that is ever full, receives no addition over its fullness in the rains. The mind that is naturally greedy wishes for more with all its fullness. Like the sea with enough water to flood the earth, receives rainwater and outpourings of innumerable rivers in its unsatisfied womb. The mind that is restrained in its desires is gladdened with little gains, and these, being increased, are reckoned as blessings by the restrained mind. A captive prince who, when he was free from unsatisfied with his realm, is content with his morsel of bread when freed. You must chastise your reprobate members and mind with the writing of your hands, gnashing your teeth and twisting your limbs and body. The brave and wise man who intends to overcome his enemies must first of all strive to subdue the internal enemies of his own heart and mind and the members of his body. On this earth, those men are reckoned the most prosperous and best disposed in their minds, who have the courage to govern their minds instead of being governed by them. I revere those pure and holy men who have quelled the huge and crooked serpent of their minds, lying coiled at the cave of their hearts, and who rest in the inner tranquility and sincerity of their souls. What Vasishtha is telling us here is, first and foremost, we must be always established in the silent witness. Must always be the silent witness. And in order to accomplish that, we have to direct the mind toward the silent witness. Mind is like a horse. If we don't direct it this way, it'll go whatever way it wants to go. But once we have mastered the mind, we can direct it toward the silent witness. So this is what Vasishtha is talking about with the restrained mind. It is a very gentle type of restraining. Effortless restraining. By focusing the mind on that which is most blissful, unbounded, free, and pure, the mind naturally begins letting go of its attachment to the karmic traces. And it becomes easier and easier to maintain the connection with the silent witness. As long as we're here in the physical realm, which is the dullest and least beautiful aspect of our universe, we have a good opportunity. But when we find ourselves in the celestial realms, it is 1,000 times harder to keep the mind under control unless we have achieved Brahman consciousness. So to allow the body to expire prematurely before achieving Brahman consciousness is a big mistake. If, that is, we want to achieve the highest level of moksha. Chapter 24, the non-entity of the mind. Vasishtha continued, the vast domain of death in the region of hell is full with the furious elephants of our sins and uncontrollable enemies of the senses with the arrows of desire. Our senses being the sources of all misdeeds and wicked actions are our invincible enemies. They are the ungrateful miscreants, working against the body in which they have found their refuge. The wandering senses, like flying birds, have found their nest in the body, from where, with outstretched wings of right and wrong, they pounce on their prey like vultures. He who can trap these greedy birds of the senses under the snare of right reason is never ensnared in the trap of sin, but breaks its bonds as an elephant does its chains. Now, what is this right reason? Well, right reason is using the will, the ability to direct the mind to become the silent witness. This is how we control the mind, by simply pointing the mind toward the area of infinite bliss and peace. There the mind finds peace. But always we are being assailed by the senses. The senses constantly work to allow the karmic traces to manifest. If we are embedded in the mind and not in the silent witness, then we are being led astray by the senses constantly. When we become the silent witness, we have senses as well. Pratibha, senses. Pratibha darsha. Pratibha varta. Pratibha vedana. These are what we call the absolute senses. They're absolute in the sense that everything in the realm of the absolute is eternal. So we have a challenging situation in which, on one hand, we are eternal companions of Krishna. So how are we ever going to become Krishna? How do we ever end this existence, separation? If we are eternal companions of Krishna, ultimately, how do we ever become Krishna? How do we ever achieve moksha level 5? It's actually quite easy and very difficult simultaneously. Being the eternal companion of Krishna is like the ultimate fulfillment of existence. What could be more delightful than to exist as the eternal companion of Krishna in a realm of completely unparalleled beauty of Goloka? So to arrive in Goloka as an eternal companion of Krishna, our challenge is the greatest possible challenge. But there's only one solution, and it's a very easy, simple solution. We simply continue as the silent witness. When we've reached that level of Goloka as a companion of Krishna, the temptation just to be the companion of Krishna in that extraordinarily blissful occupation, in that extraordinarily beautiful and attractive environment, is incredible. But if we maintain our position as the silent witness, then we have accomplished the objective. And we are simultaneously eternal companions of Krishna and the silent witness. And then the trick is let go of that incredible opportunity of existing as the companion of Krishna and simply be the silent witness in the absolute realm of Goloka. So that takes quite a lot of preparation and training. This is why we do what we do. We have the senses still in the eternal realm of Goloka. But we simply remain established as the silent witness. And then we have become Krishna. That silent witness of all in Goloka is Shiva. Wandering senses, like flying birds, have found their rest, their nest in the body, from where, with outstretched wings of right and wrong, they pounce on their prey like vultures. He who can trap these greedy birds of the senses under the snare of right reason is never ensnared in the trap of sin, but breaks its bonds as an elephant does its chains. He who indulges himself in sensual pleasures, which at first are pleasant, will be disgusted with them in process of time. He who possesses the treatise of knowledge in his frail body is not overcome by his inner enemies of sensual appetite. The kings of earth are not as happy in their earthly citadels as the lords of the cities of their own bodies and the masters of their own minds. He who has brought his senses under his slavery and reduced the enemy of his mind to subjugation has the blossoms of his understanding ever blooming within him as the spring meadow. He who has weakened the pride of his mind and subdued the enemies of his senses has his desires all shrunken like lotuses in cold weather. So long as the demons of our desires infest the regions of our hearts, we are unable to bring the mind under subjection of our knowledge of the true one. He is the faithful servant who acts according to the will of his master. He is the true minister who does good services to his prince. He is the best general who has command over the forces of his own body. And the best understanding is guided by reason. The wife is loved for her endearments, and the father is revered for his protection of the child. A friend is valued by his confidence, and the mind for its wisdom. Now we continue, established as the silent witness. Begin the Trimana Sanyama process. Let the wonderful, powerful mantra and esoteric Mahamantra touch and balance innumerable karmic traces that have been enlivened by today's reading. Jai Gurudev.